Pila, what up?
Hey man,
It's always a good day when you have a
when
good guest on the
when you
line
go
and
1-0 in the first
you
game of
go
the
1 and
conference
0
tournament,
and you know
and the
Slade
and the one
extends the
seed goes
streak
down.
and yeah. I tell you what didn't I tell you what wasn't good today. Well, it wasn't good for me is that I had to work and the fam got to go to Serengeti Springs.
Oh well, my kids don't know this yet, but they're going Friday, and yeah, I'll be working when they go Friday. So
Oh, I'll be there Friday. Unless my son Jack got too sunburnt where he can't do it. Which if that happens, my 47-year-old ass will just be out there with a bunch of kids at a water park. So
yeah, I
it's just how
mean,
it's going to
you'll
go
find
down.
me in the lazy river this summer for sure in Serengeti, no doubt.
Awesome. So that's going to be cool. But yeah, we have a ton of show to get to. So let's go ahead and get to the show. Welcome to the Top Talk. Greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome to another episode of To the Top Talk, brought to you by Mugshots Grill and Bar. To the Top Talk is the original and longest-running Southern Miss podcast on the market. We're recording this episode on
May the 22nd.
from beautiful Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and also the beach. Here, as always, with your break from the High Resource 5 propaganda to talk a little Southern Miss athletics. I'm your host, Jason Bailey. Joining me now, the one and only Patrick Lowry.
Hey,
It's going to be a fun one tonight, man.
yeah, I'm excited about it. It feels weird not to do this on a Monday, so
It does. That was my fault.
it's all good.
Completely
No,
my fault.
I feel really good. Got a good workout in the gym. Came home, got in the pool with the kids.
Ooh,
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling refreshed.
I wonder what all the poor people are doing.
Oh gosh.
Today's episode is brought to you by Mugshots in Hattiesburg, the South's premier sports grill and bar, and it all started right here in Hattiesburg 20 years ago. At Mugshots, they're always having a good time. Happy hour specials daily. And with 18 specialty burgers, they've got you covered. Go see our good friends at Mugshots in Hattiesburg today. Mugshots, delivering craveable food and personalized hospitality to friends and family in a place obsessed with sports. So what happened since the last time we recorded? Baseball concluded the regular season with a homestand at the Pete. That was super fun. Coach Oz has become the winningest first-year coach in Southern Miss history.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, also hit a milestone with 20 wins in conference play for 8 straight seasons. Right, nothing to shake a stick at.
No doubt.
As a podcast, so we hit 10,000 followers on Twitter.
Hey.
You know,
Well, that's good.
there's the sound effect. I'd like to remind everybody too that you can go and nominate To the Top Talk for best of the Pine Belt, for best podcast and the best of the Pine Belt.
Yeah, we got to keep that
awards.
losing streak going.
Yeah, we've been nominated every single year and never won. So,
Yep.
So we got that going. The all Sun Belt Conference teams were announced. A handful of Golden Eagles on there. And we started the Sun Belt Conference tournament off with a bang today. And along with that, we've kept this guy waiting forever. We also booked a fantastic guest. He was more than gracious enough to come in again tonight after I double booked myself last night.
Boo.
So this guy, you'll remember him well. He was born in 1993, which doesn't make me feel old at all, in Vidalia, Louisiana. Went to Trinity Episcopal Day School in Natchez, Mississippi. A fan favorite at Southern Miss from 2013 to 2016. Signed by the Arizona Diamondbacks after college. Had his own TV show for a while at Southern Miss. That was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Now a father and currently living it up at the beach, it seems, on vacation. Left-handed pitcher, and I've always thought part of the all best hair team. And you see, still got it. I'm looking at him in the thing right now.
Yep.
Welcome to the show, Jake Winston.
Appreciate that, Jason. You killed that intro. Except I'm not a left-handed pitcher. I'm a right-handed pitcher.
God,
you had everything else perfect though.
I saw
the
smile and I was like, "What did he mess up?"
Well, look, it won't be the first time or the last time. I got Cross Sibley's name backwards last year. I got him Sibley Cross like 4 times. It was great.
I mispronounced the name too.
Well, I tell you this, Jake's talented enough that he could probably go the other. He could do both. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, not that it's important at all. I did bat left-handed, but nobody in Southern Miss history will remember that because I did not record one single at bat. But I did bat left-handed, so you had half of it right.
Awesome. Well, that's just how I roll, and
We're
that's
not here for journalism.
probably the reason that we haven't won the we've never won the award. They're
Yeah,
like, I
there
know
we go.
what you're talking about, but they're not very good.
Oh
Anyway,
man.
man,
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on, man. This is really exciting. I'll be honest with you. I'm not that big like into social media and posting a lot and seeing, keeping up to date. So I'll be the first to tell you, I had no idea this was out there. So I'm probably part of the reason why we have not won that award. So maybe if you get more people like me to get on board yeah, I like that. I like that. If you get more people like me on board and to see that it's out there, then we will definitely win that award in the years to come. So thanks
No
for having
doubt.
me.
awesome. So you know, it said born in Louisiana and then went to school in Natchez. I guess. Uh, how did that happen?
Well, I live right on the river, so
Okay.
I tell people all the time, like I can throw a baseball into the Mississippi River pretty much from my house. So just about a 20-minute drive across the bridge into Natchez. Went to Trinity Episcopal. That's where I graduated from. Had a great time there, great career, and yeah, just felt like that was the school in the area that suited me best, and proved so. Really enjoyed my time there.
And we ask a lot of the guys this same question, but I'm always interested to see how what the recruiting process was like, and
Mhm.
what did it for you as far as that process and getting you to Southern Miss. I mean, did you come to a lot of Southern Miss games as a kid? Did you know anything about it? Natchez isn't too far away, but how did that all go down?
Yeah, so my mom is an alumni from Southern Miss. So she's from Ocean Springs originally, went to Southern Miss, and I grew up. My dad is best friends, graduated high school with Johnny Lee Hoffpower, which is Jarrett and Josh Hoffpower's dad. And so I grew up a Southern Miss fan, going to watch Jarrett play back in the early 2000s.
Hmm.
And so I was like a 9, 10, 11-year-old kid running around the Pete. Um, thought Southern Miss baseball was the greatest thing that ever hit. And I just loved it from then. And I knew my mom was an alumni, and pretty much that summer of 2011, when I got the offer from Coach Federico, um, it was a no brainer. I think within like the next few hours, I called him back, said, "Hey, Coach, I'm ready to commit." So it was a fun process. It was pretty much the offer that I was waiting on. I drew several other offers, but once I got that call and that offer, it was a no brainer, and couldn't have been happier with the outcome.
Right. And obviously playing in the Pete is got to be, I mean, you talk about, watching as a kid and then getting the opportunity to play in the Pete. And obviously, if you follow us and, like the crowds that happen at the Pete. So what was it like to kind of take the mound at the Pete after experiencing it as a kid and then getting your opportunity?
Yeah, so when I was a kid, man, going to the Pete to watch baseball games, I'm 9, 10 years old. I thought those guys, those college guys, in my eyes, I was like, that's as good as it ever gets. Those guys are big leaguers. And like I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't name everybody on the roster, obviously, but there's a couple of names that I can remember. But those guys, in my eyes, were just the best of the best. And when I got there, as I got older, I was like, okay, I am a college kid. I'm not a big leaguer by any means. I am a college kid, getting education while playing baseball. But to have that college atmosphere at the Pete, and the fans and the 16-ounce lounge, which it got popular later on in my
Hmm.
career there. I would say early on it wasn't quite the hot ticket, but later on in my career, by my senior year, that was the craziest atmosphere I'd ever witnessed in my life. And
Yeah.
me and a couple of my old teammates, we laugh now because we look at the crowds now, back-to-back super regionals, a regional just 2 years ago, and those crowds are absolutely insane. I was there for most of it, and you go there now for like the midweeks against Ole Miss and the in-state games, and it's like Oh my gosh, there's got to be 15,000 people here right now. I don't care if it says the tickets sold 6,000 plus whatever. I feel like it's 15,000 people there. And then we start talking and we're like, well, the conference tournament when we won it in 2016 and we dogpiled, we were like,
Mhm.
that's the loudest we ever remember the Pete ever being. But we go back and watch a video and we're like, well, that was only like 4,500 people. Now
Yeah.
they're getting like 2,000 more than that. So it's
Yeah.
it's just really cool, man. It was a really great experience for me throughout college and just seeing that atmosphere grow. Because I will say, I think from my freshman year to my senior year, it grew substantially. Really, just I think the fan base got really more into it. Obviously, winning more games and getting to regionals and winning conference tournaments helps. But just watching that fan base grow a lot in those 4 years and to see where it is now, it's just, man, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, like looking back at those years, like I was on the right there at the dugout shooting photos back, and I completely looked at those years and was like, oh yeah, well that was exactly when I was there as well. So I was dodging baseballs at the end of the dugout, making sure that we now have camera wells. You're welcome.
Didn't dodge all of them.
No, I did not dodge all of them. And then I gladly retired from photos and made Jordan Burgess shoot the rest of the games because I was, after Coach Barry made me wear his skull helmet because he's like, Patrick, you can't be on this field anymore unless you have this helmet on. And I was like, I know, I'm a straight magnet for baseball. But yeah,
Hey,
good times.
and the Pete's awesome, and it really is crazy to think that like 2 years in a row, we've sold out of season tickets before the season started. That's actually made people mad these days that we've sold all the tickets. There was a huge. You don't do a lot on social, but it was a huge thing a couple weeks ago. People mad that they couldn't get in and blaming it on people in the roost somehow. I don't know. It was
Yeah.
nuts, but it's a great problem to have.
Yeah.
But it always gets me to thinking. Where like when you went on the road, there's I'm sure there's some places that you loved playing at. There's probably some places that you despise playing at. And I guess can you run that spectrum for me? Like maybe a place that you really look forward to, you hope that you got on the mound, and maybe some places where you're like, oh God, I don't even want to go.
Yeah, so I think I'll go back to the in-state games. Anytime we played Ole Miss at Swayze, I think
Mhm.
everybody on our roster, especially, in-state guys or local guys, everybody wanted the baseball at that point. Um, as far as conference is concerned, I think Rice, obviously back in my day, Rice was always like a big baseball rival for us. So anytime we got to play Rice in Houston, that was always great ballpark. You had the city in the backdrop, great stadium. That was always a big place that you wanted to play or pitch. Um, as far as places that you didn't want to pitch, um, my wife and I were just talking about it earlier because it's showing up on our memories. I think from eight years ago now, we were playing FIU down at their place in Miami,
Mhm.
and we're in Miami, okay, and we had more Southern Miss fans at the game than there was FIU fans, and I
Not
think there was a
surprising.
grand total at one of the day games. I think it was a Saturday game. There was a grand total of 150 fans at the game, and I would have bet you they probably counted about half of those as season ticket holders because there might have been maybe 50 people in the stands. And I promise you, out of the 50 people in the stands, 45 were Southern Miss parents. So that was one place. It's just like, oh man, do we really have to play these guys this weekend? Do we have to be here right now? Just the atmosphere wasn't good. You could just tell, like, they're not really interested in baseball down here.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you
So
have
that's
more
probably
people in
one.
the. Go ahead.
Yeah,
I was just gonna
no,
say
I'm
you have
saying
more
that's just
people
that's
in
just
the
probably one of the.
stands for a practice at Southern Miss than you do, or
Oh
scrimmage,
sure, yeah.
than you
Yeah,
would at a game like that.
yeah.
We made the comment about that this
So that
year.
yeah, that's probably one.
Yeah, we went to a few games, a few inter squad games before the season started, and I remember looking around and taking a picture and kind of taking my camera and doing a panoramic. I'm like, there's, I don't know, 300 people here. I said there's going to be games this year, away games that are less than this, and this is a scrimmage. It's not even going to go 9 innings against ourselves. Playing
Right.
everybody on the roster. So, um, do fans ever get to you? You mentioned the 16-ounce lounge earlier, and we sit in the roost. So I feel like, especially with the outfielders, particularly whoever that poor soul is, got to play right field. Maybe the center fielder a little bit. I feel like we get in their heads, and I feel like we make a difference. I really do. Sometimes they'll turn around and they'll give it back to us, and we're kind of their friend at that point, and we're almost rooting for them. Other times they turn around and they give you the old, one finger salute, and then it's just going to be fun the whole rest of the day. So,
Yeah.
but when you're pitching, I mean, do you ever like how do you? I've heard Coach Oz make the quote from the movie. How do you clear the mechanism? Like, do you have to go through that process? Do you hear anything? Is there any place where that you didn't want to go warm up in the pen because they had something like a 16-ounce lounge?
No, not at all. Actually, it was kind of welcomed for me because there's a switch in my head at least. If I knew I was getting the baseball, there's a switch that I would flip, and it was just immediate focus on whatever I was doing, and I was automatically thinking about the lineup I was about to face, hitters, scouting reports that I'd been reading the night before in the hotel or in my house or dorm room or apartment, wherever I was. So if I knew I was getting the ball and I was going to the game, my mind would automatically shift to that, and I would block out probably 99% of the noise. Now, if I was on the bubble, if I was just the guy to say, hey, get him, start him throwing,
Mm-hmm.
like just get him in the bullpen, start him throwing, get him loose, my mind wasn't immediately going into game mode. So sometimes if somebody was close enough and loud enough, I could hear them. I've had some fans, talk about my girlfriend or my parents or my mom or whatever they could think of, But I
Anybody ever
don't
call
think
you a
anything
left-handed
ever.
pitcher?
No, not at all. Actually, that would probably gotten my mind a little bit more than anything else. Um, yeah, they probably should have used a different tactic. They're going down the wrong road with me. But no, if there's a switch in my mind that I would just flip, and really I couldn't hear any of that stuff. So I would think out of the few things that I did hear over my career, now that I look back, I'm like, man, I probably only heard about 2% of what was actually said to me. Because I heard something one time. I don't know who said this or if I read it, but I heard it years ago when I was in college. It said, if you can hear that noise, and this was talking about when you're on the game mound, when you're actually in the game playing, but it said, if you can hear that noise, it's time to hang them up.
Mm.
And I think whenever I read that or heard that, I kind of took that to heart and like, okay, yeah, you really need to block this outside noise out if you're trying to get your job done, the right way. So I try to do that the best I could. So there's really no telling what was said to me back in the day.
Yeah, no doubt. So you talked about, like, obviously, yeah, when you started playing at Southern Miss, you kind of have to obviously go to class and kind of be a student as well as the athlete part. So what did you graduate with a degree in at Southern, and what are you doing now?
So my major was sport management. I actually have 18 hours left to finish that degree. I never finished it. When I got drafted my senior year, played 3 years professionally. When I got done with pro ball, I live on a farm in Louisiana. We raise cattle, we have crops, that kind of thing. So every year after pro ball, you come in, you have October and the whole winter off until February. So I would just work on
Hmm.
the farm all winter long. And so when I got released in October of 2018, I just immediately went back to work. Just didn't think anything of it. And I talked to my parents about it a lot, about finishing my degree. And I looked at them and I was like, well, if I'm going to be the one that's going to be here, working, I don't see what a sport management degree is going to help me any, here. That's just going to, for me to spend more money, waste more time, be more time away from here and not getting work done. So
Yeah.
I've been doing that. I've been on the farm raising cattle, working my family's place since 2018. Also been coaching a little bit. I've coached the last 5 years. However, that's taken a lot of time away from the farm. So I'm not going to coach anymore, just so I can specifically be more on my family's place and show more attention to it. So I've done a lot of coaching on the farm, raising cattle. I have two kids now. I have a son who's 1 and a daughter who's 3. So my life is pretty busy right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been good to me. I have no complaints whatsoever. It's been really great. My wife, she's been real supportive of everything, and so yeah, it's been really good to me since I guess you say post baseball for 5 years. This no 6 years this October. So
Very cool. And I want to talk about your pro ball career for a second. I mean, drafted by the Arizona Diamondbacks in round 17 with the 509th overall pick in 2016. I mean, pro ball is always a dream come true for everyone, I would think. What was that day like for you when you got drafted?
man, it was really special. I thought I was going to get drafted my junior year. If you look at my stats my junior year are way better than my senior year. Um, and so I was really thinking I was getting drafted my junior year, and it just didn't happen. A couple of medical things had come up, which it really wasn't anything now looking back, but a couple of medical things came up, and some teams stayed away from me. Um, so I got a free agent deal my junior year by the Brewers. I turned it down to come back for my senior year. Um, After getting drafted after my senior year by the Diamondbacks, that was like the one team I had not talked to at all. Not one word spoken to those guys. I don't even think I filled out a questionnaire for them. I filled out probably 28 questionnaires that my senior year, and one of them was not the Diamondbacks, and the other one was the Dodgers. So those are like the two teams I don't remember filling anything out for. And I was talking to the Cubs a lot, actually. I had just moved out of my house after the regional in Tallahassee. I'd moved out of my house, and I was headed back to Natchez, and the Cubs called me. They were in the 8th round, and they were like, "Hey, if we take you next round, are you going to sign?" And I'm like, "Well, dude, I'm a senior. Give me a bus ticket and pack me a lunch, and I'm coming." So I was like, "Yeah, I'll take it." So he said, "All right, sounds good." He hung up. Well, the 9th round comes, Cubs don't take me. I'm like, "Okay." So then 10th round comes, Cubs don't take me again, and then that day was over with. So I'm thinking, okay, so the third day's coming up, round 11. I have no idea what's going on. And so the next day, I'm talking to the Cubs and the Yankees a lot, and they're texting me every hour or so, and I'm just like, guys, I'm 22 years old, I'm a senior. You're not giving me some kind of sign-in bonus. Can you just send me a bus ticket and I'm headed your way? Well, I was at my parents' house and I was watching TV, and like I said, I was texting back and forth with the Cubs scout, and a message comes up on my phone from him, and I can't say everything they said in the message, but the emojis that he sent, the emojis that he sent like 17 snake emojis, and I'm like, what in this world? And so I clicked the message, and it's basically saying, "Hey, congrats, man! Diamondbacks just took you. Thanks for everything. Appreciate it. Good luck." And then sure enough, like 2 minutes later, my phone starts blowing up, and that was just a really cool moment. I know my mom, she was excited. My wife, or my wife now, who was my girlfriend then, she was really excited, and obviously I was excited too, because yeah, it was a dream come true, because that's something you really think about for from the time you start playing baseball. You want to become a professional baseball player. So it was just a really special moment for everyone.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And just, if you can for a second, just, I mean, talk about that grind. I mean, what you in college, at least a lot of people that we've talked to through the years, when they talk about differences between college and pros. I mean, and everybody's got a little bit different answer, but what was it like for you? I mean, that's your job now, right? You're in the pros, you're playing every day. I guess kind of compare the two right there, from playing in college and then what it was like, doing it for a living.
Yeah, super similar, really, because in college, if you're not getting your job done, well, there's somebody behind you that's going to take your job, and possibly at the end of the year, you get cut, and you have to move on and try to find possibly another college to go play for. So in pro ball, same situation. There's somebody at a level below you, breathing down your neck at all times. And so if you're not performing well at your job, well, there's like 17 other guys in your same position that want your spot. But I will say in pro ball, the great thing about it was there was no class, there was there was no school to have to go through. So you literally you got to sleep till 11 o'clock noon during the day if you wanted to, wake up, eat lunch, and then show up at the yard about 1 o'clock for any kind of rehab or anything, and then you're there till 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. But it was a grind playing every day. But honestly, I loved it. I thought that was some of the funnest times in my life. I would recommend for anybody that gets that opportunity to live it out as long as you have it. That was just a lot
No
of
doubt.
fun. Met some of the best guys I've ever met in my life. Some of them are still my best friends to this day. That we're in touch literally every single day. We whether it's Snapchat or talking on the phone or texting or whatever. I'm still in touch. A couple of those guys were in my wedding and I was in theirs. So you meet some really great guys throughout that whole process. And if you truly love baseball, man, that's the greatest job on earth. I mean, it really is. I will say this: it was probably the most stressful thing I've ever had to deal with up to this point in my life. And I know some people look at that and they'll say, well, hey man, come on, like you're playing a kid's game for a living, like get real. You're playing baseball. And like, yeah, that's true. I am playing a kid's game, but at the other end, you have 2 or 3 bad outings in a row and it's like, wow, you can lose your job that quick.
Sure.
I can look at them in the face and say, well, hey, if you have 2 or 3 bad days at work or at your job, you're probably not getting fired on the spot, but in baseball, you definitely can. So I will say the stress level was pretty high, but as far as just if you love baseball, man, that was probably the greatest job on earth.
You really do never know when, because a good friend of ours who's been on the show before, he was drafted by the Tigers, went to Lakeland, failed his physical, back on a plane.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's how quick
Just, I
it can
mean,
happen.
he had a knee thing, right? He had a couple knee surgeries, and they whatever. I'm not going to sink a lot of money into you for that. So, yeah, it's cutthroat for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
it's cutthroat, and I tell people all the time, just because you get drafted or you sign on the dotted line does not mean you will ever get a roster spot, a jersey, or even play one game. So, yeah, that physical and a lot of other things go into it as well to make sure that you're a part of that organization.
no doubt.
So shifting gears a little bit, did you watch the game today?
Yeah.
And kind of let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, huge game today.
Yeah, it was awesome. So I told my wife last night because I was on Twitter on the Southern Miss Baseball page trying to find out what time and who they're playing, and I didn't find out till today they're playing Coastal, and I was like, crap, like we're playing. How did we end up playing?
Yeah,
exactly.
The 2016 national champion, possibly one of the better programs in the Sun Belt, and but it's just another task that we had to prepare for. But yeah, so I was on the beach today with my phone up, feet propped up, phone in my hand, and my wife and I, we watched the entire game. It was a great game, by the way.
So talk about that performance by Billy Oldham.
Oh man, Billy's wonderful to watch pitch.
And from a pitcher's point of view, what makes him so good? He doesn't throw a million miles an hour. He throws a lot of strikes. He is it just this attitude? Does he just locate better? Is it the changing of speeds? Like, what makes him awesome?
Yep. All
of
above.
that.
I love to watch a game. If a pitcher can locate a fastball, changeup, and slider, or any kind of other breaking ball, if he can locate 3 pitches for strikes, for me, that's the best game that I can possibly watch. And so today, 0-0 going into the 8th. Billy's just thrown an absolute gem. As usual, he's obviously had a great year, great career at Southern Miss. Very happy that he's come on board the last couple of years. But yeah, just Billy being Billy today. Doesn't throw 95 by any means, but he throws a slider, fastball, changeup, all for strikes, and at any count he can throw them for strikes. So that's always, for me, from being a former pitcher, that's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I'm by far the least experienced baseball person on this call, but I have watched a lot of games at the Pete and a lot of baseball in my life. But yeah, to see him locate, like they weren't even touching that early breaking pitch that he would throw for a strike. I mean, they're already down 0-1, and then usually fouling off a pitch. And I know in the pregame, Jack Duggan, the SID for baseball, a long time, the old left-hander, mentioned how well, like when Billy's on, he's really getting a lot of those fly ball outs, and we saw a lot of that today, and so he was definitely clicking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, Jake, man, it's been really fun catching up with you. We are going to have this out tomorrow, but I wanted to thank you once again for not only coming on tonight, but for hanging with us through a 24-hour period there. So, I really appreciate you doing that. So, and we always like to close out the same way, but I like to remind everybody, like, this was Jake Winston. He's a right-handed pitcher, cattle farmer, coach, and now a father. I don't know about you, but father's the best title that I've ever had.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
Well, buddy, I appreciate it. Let's do this again sometime. And Southern Miss
To the top, baby. Hey, thank you guys for having me. And